What is going on, everybody? Voidlego here, back for a brand new episode of Higurashi When They Cry. Last time on, we went back to Himizawa and we met up with Rika, and well, she told us that she knows the future, pretty much. That she knows all of the incidents that's going to happen for the next 4 years of every Oshiro-sama murder or slash incident. And that eventually, in 1983, she's going to be the one that dies, which is very interesting. Now, here's my fear on that. It is the whole, her knowing about this, it isn't like someone told it to her, or like that some organization has been planning this out. I think she just knows it, and she's keeping it to herself. I don't think she's told, like, the Sonozaki family or any of the other 3 families in Himizawa. It's very interesting then. What is exactly, like, how does she exactly know this? How does she know what's going to happen in the future? That's what I'm very curious about, so let's get right into it then. Mother's Diary. There was something I didn't like about my child. I first realized it when I started writing these things down. They never warn you about it in any books about raising children, but they aren't just a plaything. If they aren't able to feel loved even when they are not doing exactly as their parents want them to, then those parents are failures. This wasn't something like that, though. How can I say it? It's probably harder to express with mere words. I just want my child to be average. As long as they weren't falling behind, there wasn't any need for them to excel at something. As long as they acted appropriately for their age, I would have been fine with it. But my child had been different ever since kindergarten. While the children in their class were running around in excitement about the field trip the next day, she only wore a bored look on her face, aloof and distant. When the other kids broke the equipment for the athletics festival and were apologizing fervently, she only wore a bored look on her face, aloof and distant. When the teachers were reading a fun picture booth, only she wasn't smiling. Even if they all got to eat a delicious bento, only she wasn't happy. If it was only this, it would still be in the realm of understanding. However, what I don't understand about my child is that if the aforementioned situations happened again, they now act in a manner befitting their age. I don't understand the principle behind that as a parent. Why were they indifferent about that field trip but happy about this one? Why were they indifferent about that picture book but happy about this one? Why were they indifferent about that bento but happy about this one? The former and the latter in each situation seem exactly the same to me. There was even times when I thought the former one was better. I don't understand that child's feelings. During parent-teacher meetings, the teacher always said the same thing. And I would always respond that I don't understand my own child, and we would mope together. My husband, always the optimist, once said that a young child's feelings are different from adults, so if there were some things we didn't understand, we shouldn't worry about it. That we meant his lack of urgency. One day, when I was in a good mood, I took the effort to prepare a menu that my child would enjoy, but she only smiled with a vague expression of disinterest. That attitude frankly made me angry, so I hit her on the head. On a day when the weather was nice, the laundry I had just hung up to dry was blown by a large gust of wind, causing the entire line to fall down. But she, watching me try to pick up the laundry in a panic, stood there laughing. The attitude frankly made me angry, so I hit her on the head. I think the same sort of thing happened countless times. Before I knew it, my child was only able to look at me with an indifferent expression on her face. I regret the fact that I've been a bad mother. Thinking I should regain her trust, I fought to get it back little by little with some light interactions. Seeing her do some sort of craft work on the veranda, I called out to her.
ここ数日、気持ちのいい晴れの日が続いて、気
Yep.
分がいいわね。
Yep, yeah. I know it. It was Rika. We've been listening to for these past tips of the whole being able to predict the future, really. But how is she able to do that? That's the question. That child with that indifferent look on her face I hated so much looked up at me for a moment, and without a word returned to immersing herself in her craft work. Up until now I would have hit her on the head just for that. I held myself back.
何を作ってるの？お人形さん？てるてる坊主。
That child was using insets from the newspapers to definitely make some weather terms. The forecast hadn't called for rain, but that child, in her own way, was praying that these sunny days would continue. Been able to understand my own child for the first time in a while, I couldn't hide my own happiness. Bringing out a ball and a yarn, I began to hang my child's cute weather charms from the eaves of the house.
ダメよリカ。頭が重すぎるから。ほら。逆さてるてる坊主になっちゃったわ。これじゃ晴れじゃなくて雨になっちゃうわよ。
When I started to take them down, my child tugged at the hem of my shirt as if to stop me.
逆さになるように作ったのだから、それでいいの。でもリカ、てるてる坊主が逆さじゃ晴れのおまじないにならないわよ。雨が降るようにおまじないをしているから、それでいいの。
I desperately suppressed the emotions welling up inside of me. I was trying desperately to understand my child.
あ、そっか。お庭の朝顔が晴れ続きで元気がなくなっちゃったから雨が欲しいのね。
That child turned to me with the expression that I hated the most.
晴れにね。飽きたの。
I don't understand. I don't understand. I just can't understand that child. Huh. Okay. 1 second. Okay. This is very interesting. So, well, before we continue on these other ones, Rika wants happy days to continue. I mean, she said it to us in the last chapter. But yet, she wants things to change. You know? She wants stuff to happen. Like with sunny weather, she eventually wants a bit of rain to happen. Which is very interesting. It's very interesting. I guess kind of makes... Heck, even with... You could, like, compare that to Kechi. Because he was bored of school, even though he pretty much excelled at it. He became bored of it, obviously, you know, from routine after routine after routine. And, you know, it's only after he went to Imizawa that school became fun to him because of the club. And he wanted those days to continue. So this is 2 times this has appeared. The repetition of everyday life. You know, eventually we all have to face it, life becomes, repetition, Eventually when you reach, like, adulthood, you get a job, you do the same thing over and over again, and eventually it becomes, mundane, normal. And sometimes you do want something to change, and people seek out different things. That's why people created stories, why people created fiction, movies, TV shows, and video games, in order to see something else besides the mundane, the things we already know. It's very interesting. Alright, let's get to 2. During the family council, she buried herself under Oryu-san's futon again. Oryu-san dotes on her unwaveringly. No matter whatever insolence my child commits, she doesn't mind. It's almost as though my child is a kitten or something. Oryu dotes on her exactly like you would with a kitten. As her mother, I chided her for doing that, until Oryu-san had said 3 times that it was fine. I chided her as a formality. Of course, she never lends an ear to any of my chidings. Knowing that Oryu-san's standing was far above mine, she behaves like that. I don't like the cunning that's unbefitting of her age either. In any case, not only Oryu-san, but the rest of the old folk in the village spoil her too much. One day I was surprised. By chance, on the way back from some shopping, I saw her by herself just outside a candy shop. My own child suddenly grabbed a snack, opened the package right there, and then started eating it. She didn't make any attempt to pay for it, and she didn't even think of looking around. It didn't even feel like she was shoplifting, more like she was brazenly eating snacks that was offered to her. When I began to admonish my child, the elderly shop owner appeared and covered for her. The owner gave the ridiculous excuse that he had said it was okay for that child to eat any of the snacks out by the entrance, so it was fine. When I tried to pay for the snacks that my child had eaten, the owner refused my money. During that exchange, more folks had suddenly gathered around, and it began to feel like I was the one in the wrong. The elderly people all put their hands together with reverent way in front of my child and repeatedly voiced their respects. I was born into the Furude family, so it wasn't like I didn't know why she was being treated specially. When I was still young, it was something I heard often from my grandmother. If by chance the child that I gave birth to was a girl, that child would be the living incarnation of Oshiro-sama. All of the older folk believe she's the living incarnation of Oshiro-sama and spoil her one. Not only did they spoil her, but they even told her she was the living incarnation of Oshiro-sama, that she had a divine power, threw all sorts of strange folk tales her way. Interesting. That reading credence to the supernatural theory, her able to see the future was pretty supernatural. So she may have begun to believe herself that she was a special existence. I went around and told everybody that it wasn't good for her upbringing, so to stop telling all these strange things. But there was no uprooting the elderly people's deep-seated superstitions. I told my child not to listen to them, but it ended up being that she stopped listening to me. Between all the old folks in the village who would have doled on her and myself who only scolded her, there was no wonder who she would listen to. There was no mistaking that the reason she had become strange was because of the elderly villagers. There was no doubt that they had shoved her full of strange folk tales and superstitions since she was young. If it wasn't for that, there is no doubt my child would have been cute and normal. Interesting. Bob, maybe. Let's check out the third one. One sunny parent-teacher day, there was a cooking class and my child was making curry rice with a practiced hand. While the other children her age were awkwardly using their kitchen knives, that child was bleeding hers deftly. The teacher approached me with a smile on her face, saying it must have been a result of learning it at home. I managed to play it off with a vague smile and nod in response. That was because I had never once taught my child how to make curry rice. Even then, she was peeling vegetables with a practiced hand, adding them into the pot in the order of which took longer to cook. For a normal parent, they might unintentionally clap their hands together, happy at their child's actions. But in my case, it was different. There was no mistaking that somebody had taught her how to make that curry rice when I wasn't taking care of her. Thinking that, I quietly fell into an unpleasant mood. When I asked, it seemed she could also sew and do the laundry. I had never taught her how to do those, and again never saw her do it around the house, be it cooking or sewing or the laundry. Again, that was probably because the elderly villagers taught her all sorts of rubbish when I wasn't looking. Not only that, they probably taught her all sorts of strange superstitions, trying to prop her up as the living incarnation of Osho-sama. I said as much to my husband, suggesting that we should keep our child away from the elderly folk. But my husband, who was in the position of being the head priest of the Furude shrine, had little power against the elderly who supported it. He took the rather uncommitted stance of saying that as long as she was being doted upon, wasn't it fine? I argued against that she was our child and should be a completely normal girl, and that what the elderly were expecting, that she was the living incarnation of Osho-sama, was simply odd. The elderly villagers believed that the child has divine powers. We would discuss the weather for the following day, but there were many times when I left the house with an umbrella and came back soaking wet. Rather than having clairvoyance, that was just secondhand knowledge from her watching the news all the time. The things that she knew that she shouldn't have known were just the result of the people who were trying to indoctrinate her and the people who were gospeling, getting together in the village. However, there certainly were days when everybody thought it was going to be a sunny hot day and that child would stubbornly not go out without an umbrella. It would occasionally rain. In the end, we would be saved. There might have also been times when Rika knew of major incidents in foreign countries faster than the news did. I thought that she must have heard it break over the radio or something. Knowing things she shouldn't have, something like that, was in front of me right now, wasn't it? That child was making curry rice when there shouldn't have been anybody who taught her how to. No, that couldn't possibly be the case. Somebody had taught her, indoctrinated her. When I wasn't taking care of her, somebody indoctrinated Rika with something.
フルデさんのカレーは大変見事です。先生、花丸をあげちゃいます。ニパー。フルデさんはお料理を誰に習いましたか？やっぱりお家で？はい、お家なのですよ。
The other parents in attendance were impressed. Wise, oh wise. I didn't teach her anything. Who was it? Who was the person that completely indoctrinated my child? She was my normal, average daughter, not the living incarnation of Osho-sama. Damn. Alright, we finished all the tips, so I guess this really is the final chapter. In this chapter, at least. But very interesting. That's a scary thought, though, as a parent. Of being pretty much people taking away your ability to teach your own kin, your own, offspring, and them being, fed these superstitions of being the incarnation of Osho-sama and all that, but now that's the question of, does Rika actually have powers that can look into the future, or is it just her being fed these things by the elderly people in the village? Maybe someone did plan out all these murders and she heard about them, because she's been doted on so much by the elderly, or does she can she actually see into the future? That's the big question, and it's, I don't know. This is honestly a situation where I can't pick the either one, because once again, Higurashi's great at bringing up two solutions, providing both evidence for both solutions. And, it doesn't seem like one is this solution makes more sense story-wise, or, this solution, makes more thematic sense. In this case, both solutions could, make sense, to be perfectly honest, For example, if if it's the old people feeding this information, indoctrinating Rika into their whole thing, that could be like, that weeds credence, that would add on to like Mion's whole thing of her being the heir to the Sonozaki family, of, the pressure of being this incarnation of Oshiro-sama, or being the heir to this great, powerful family. Or it could be the superstition of having powers, which could, add on to the whole, chapter 3 of Kechi thinking he has powers by making people die, pretty much. And him thinking, like, oh, he's God, pretty much, and that Oshiro-sama's listening to his wishes, and all that. And it's... The writing is so great. It, like this, I cannot even pronounce his name, Ryukishi? Oh, I'll just say 07. 07 is fantastic at providing two solutions and giving credence to both of them. It could be either one, which is, great, and very great in a mystery novel. So, yeah, let's continue. First 20 minutes talking about that.
それは誰もが忘れそうなほど地方の小さな村の出来事。悲劇は幕を閉じ、その傷跡も消え去ろうとしていたある日、青年はかつて出会った少女に思いを馳せる。あの日聞けなかった言葉、あの日果たせなかった約束、その後悔と慟哭が閉じられたままだった運命を開く一つの光となった。暇つぶし。運命は幸せだけじゃない。でも不幸を望む人なんて誰もいない。
1985. Okay, so we're back to President Akasaka, right? I think, maybe. Let's find out.
パパってば。
Yep.
ああ、
大丈夫？怖い夢でも見たの？
Miyuki was sitting next to me. I quickly patted her head after hearing her say that. I must have had a bad dream while sweeping the cabin. I was sweating profusely.
いや、なんでもない。ちょっと暑かったかな。
I tried to wipe away the sweat while answering and looked around for a handkerchief or towel. Then a cold drop rained down on my head. Miyuki turned to me and smiled, and then wiped my face with the towel she received at takeoff.
ありがとう、ユキ。
Thanks to her, I was finally able to shake off my slumber. So I got up from the aisle seat and looked out the window. I wrapped my arms around Yuki in the window seat and listened to the noise as the land and sea blew past us before our eyes.
北海道だ！でっかい道！北海道！
And then the plane gently turned before entering the airport one way. Arriving at the lobby, I glanced around looking for Oshi. I was met with a familiar gruff voice calling out to me.
Akasaka-san! 何年ぶりでしょう。ご無沙汰しておりますね。
大石さん、本当にお久しぶりです。
Oshi clapped his hands down on my shoulder, celebrating our reunion.
赤坂さんもだいぶいい顔つきになりましたね。最前線の捜査官らしいいい顔つきですよ。
大石さんはだいぶスマートになりましたね。
You haven't changed your outfit in years.
背筋も良くなったような。これも社交ダンスのおかげですか。
Great, now I'm picturing Oshi like looking through his closet in the morning. It's the exact same outfit. What should I choose today? Oh, I got it. I'll take this straps and the jacket that I'll never wear.
赤坂さんもね、若いうちからダンスはやっておいた方がいいですよ。そしたらきっとモテます。モテモテ。
Oh, she had retired and moved to Sapporo, of all things, had started taking ballroom dancing lessons. He had apparently gotten really into it, and had decided to spend the rest of his new life devoted to the hobby. He was aiming to get his instructor's qualifications before he hit 80 and live out his old age daintily.
おやそちらがひょっとして
Oh. Oshi's son returned his attention to Yuki, who was standing idly next to me. He bent down on his knee to look her in the face. However, my daughter was fine and hid behind my back.
こらみゆき、ちゃんとご挨拶しなさい。
She was staring at Oshi with a dubious expression while tugging at the hem of my shirt. She's usually not this shy. I wonder what's wrong.
すみません。いつもはこうじゃないんですが。
いいんですよ。おじさん顔が怖いからな。よかったらお名前を聞いてもいいですか？
赤坂みゆき、7歳です。こんにちはです。
いいお返事です。さすがは赤坂さんの娘さんですよな。
Oshi gently stroked Miyuki's head and smiled as though she were her own grandchild. After finally seeing that, Miyuki smiled and waved. Shortly afterwards, Miyuki told me that she was doing what I had told her to do, be careful around strangers. Oshi overheard that and let out a hearty ha 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 ha, shaking his body while laughing and walking. I led myself into Oshi's car and we headed out towards the hot spring inn. I had originally intended to crash at Oshi's place, but Oshi was quite obstinate that his home wasn't suitable for that, so we came to this. At the inn, we relaxed while soaking in the hot springs, then ate a delicious feast until we were full. Miyuki had a little of the Mongolian barbecue and was delighted with it. After our bellies were swollen, Miyuki grew sleepy and went off to bed. Then Oshi and I reminisced about the time we played mahjong together in Himizawa. It seemed that, to celebrate our reunion, Oshi had looked for people who could play. But unable to find a suitable candidate, we had to give up on putting together a table. As we drank together, we excitedly recounted our exploits during the final manhunt.
結局、あの犯人の2人は捕まったんですか？
いいえ。
Holy shit, I finally got a new outfit.
結局山狩りでも見つけられませんでした。
I don't know, there's something wrong with, like, Oshi's head. I think it's the neck. I think it's the neck that's really just, like, freaking me out with this. Because I did not expect that type of neck with Oshi. It just looks kind of weird to me.
多分村にかくまわれてから海外か遠方でほとぼりを冷ましてるんじゃないかと思いますね。
大石さんは確か犯人の銃の一丁を奪いましたよね。あれからは
海外の軍用拳銃でした。関西系の暴力団組織が大量に密輸したうちの一丁でしょうな。戦場痕を調べましたが他の事件とのつながりは何も出ませんでした。そっちでは？
私はあの後しばらく現場を離れましたのでよくは知りません。結局全部闇の中ってことで決着したようですがね。
Oshi smiled wearily as he sipped his chilled drink.
あの後は 大変でしたね。今年で7年ですか。
ええ。先日7回忌の法要がありました。岐阜とも最近は疎遠でして、準備でいろいろ苦労しました。
Ooh.
それはお疲れ様でした。
It was then that the hostess brought in the extra drinks that we had ordered before. While the bottles of beer clanked as she brought them in, we halted our conversation. What else she meant when he said it must have been tough. Thinking about that was still hard, but time had healed the wound. It was the day after. When I phoned Oshi to apologize, when I did, Oshi almost immediately handed the phone to one of my colleagues who happened to be there. Not only was I injured in the brawl with the suspects, but I disappeared to drink late into the night without leaving any sort of contact information, so I thought he'd definitely be mad. However, all he said was that it was something he couldn't talk about over the phone, and that I should come up to the station as soon as possible. At the time, I could only think that he must have really been pissed off. But when I arrived at the station, he said this.
君の奥さんが事故に遭ったらしい。
Oh, shit. I was afraid of that. Having no idea what happened, I borrowed the phone to contact the hospital Yuki was staying at. After being given the runabout several times, I was finally able to talk to someone in charge, and after mincing words for quite some time, they told me.
Akasaka ゆきえ様が事故でお亡くなりになりました。
The world became a blur as I sat there dumbfounded. Yuki's death was unbelievably abrupt, unbelievably sudden. I could have understood if there was some kind of problem during the birth, but Yuki's death wasn't anything like that. On the stairs on the way up to the roof, she just happened to slip and fall. And she just happened to fall on an unfortunate place at an unfortunate angle. That was it. Wanting to blame Yuki's death on somebody, I began to think that it was an act of revenge by the Guardians, that they killed my wife and made it look like an accident. What I learned when I flew back to Tokyo, however, was much more cool than that. Yuki had a habit of going up to the roof to cool off in the evening. There was an elevator up to the 7th floor, but from there you had to take the stairs to get to the roof. Even late into her pregnancy, when the evening came, she would always head up there. Her father had always said for her not to push herself, but Yuki insisted that until the time she had no choice but to stay in bed, she would be allowed to do as she wished. However, I had never once seen Yuki go up to the roof. I only heard that from her father and the nurses. That was because whenever I visited her, she would spend that time with me instead. I heard the reason why Yuki went up to the roof from the nurse she had become friendly with. She had said that her husband was away on business a lot of the time, and that whenever he called, she was able to cheer him up and give him courage. But when he didn't call, she couldn't do that. Her husband might put on a show of bravado, but in reality he grew lonesome pathetically fast. She was probably just the same. Whenever he left her business not clear when he'd be back, she felt very lonely. Whenever she cheered him up, she was actually cheering herself up as well. That's why whenever he went far away for an important job, on the evenings he didn't call. At the very least, she felt that standing underneath the same sky, her feelings would reach him. At that moment, I remembered the words that girl had told me, that it was best that I go back to Tokyo right away. Otherwise, there wouldn't be something I would regret horribly. Yes, that's it. 'Cause I was away on business that day, Yuki had headed up to the roof. Had I known that this would have been the result, had I done as the girl had said and dropped everything to head back to Tokyo, I might have been with Yuki on the day she died. If I was with her, she wouldn't have gone up to the roof. The day my wife died was on the Union, the third day of my trip. Yes, it was right before the time I had the sudden urge to hear Yuki's voice and run around the village trying to find a phone. The girl had gone around and cut out all of the phone cords. If she hadn't, and I hadn't made that call, I would have undoubtedly learned of Yuki's death at that time and collapsed in tears. Of course, even though the cords were cut, it only put me off learning of Yuki's death by that one evening. In the end, I had learned of it the next morning. However, when I managed to put my emotions in order, I realized it was that girl's small token of consideration.
そんな話は初めて聞きました。
Shit. How, wow. Wow, that's so interesting. So Rika cut the phone cords in order to spare Akasaka the pain of it for at least one more day. That's so interesting. Maybe Rika wanted Akasaka to have one more happy day. One more sunny day before he learned the truth inevitably. Rika wanted Akasaka to have those happy days continue for at least just one more day.
私も初めて話します。
Wow.
偶然では超能力じゃあるまいし。
大石さんは教えてくれましたよね。あの子はお社様という神様の生まれ変わりではないかと言われてるって。
ねえ、まあ村の年寄りどもはフルで理科に神通力があると信じてるようでしたがね。
神通力。
Oshi had originally said it as a kind of joke, but realizing that I was serious, he slumped his shoulders.
まあ嘘か本当か知りませんがね。未来のことを予言してみせたり、知らないはずのことを話してみせたり。千里眼だの、天の啓示だの。まあいろいろです。もちろん具体的な実例は何一つありゃしないんですがね。
雪絵の事故を予言してみせました。
Oshi tried to laugh it off, but out of respect to my deceased wife, he kept it restrained.
現職の警視庁の敏腕捜査官が神通力やらたたりやらを信じるわけで。
Having him say that so bluntly, I couldn't respond. Of course, I had no intention of believing such odd things, but he could only say that because he didn't know what I did. Since I met that other girl, who both was and wasn't Rika Furude, I couldn't deny the existence of any other worldly entity.
予知でなく予告の可能性ももちろん否定できません。
Not precedence, but a warning. If what that girl has said was a warning about Yuki's accident, then things became much easier to understand. Basically, the line of thinking became that it was a threat, because I didn't go back to Tokyo. My wife was killed in a way that made it look like an accident.
奥さんの事故の検証に不備は？
もちろん謀殺の可能性も疑いました。現場検証の書類は全て目を通しましたし、私が独自に調査もしました。
There weren't any witnesses to Yuki's fall. There was the possibility that somebody had hidden, waiting to push Yuki down the stairs. However, the cleaning ladies frequented the roof to hang laundry, and the security cameras on each floor hadn't recorded anything out of the ordinary. There wasn't anything set up on the stairs, and I was unable to find anything suspicious.
結局、独自の検証の結果でも 幸恵が単独で事故を起こしたとしか考えられませんでした。確かに大臣の孫を誘拐して脅迫してのけた連中です。妊婦一人を階段から突き落として証拠を残さないなんてできないことじゃないのかもしれない。
Oshi's expression had completely sobered up.
奥さんは連中に殺された。
When Yuki died, I felt that as well. More precisely, I wanted to blame somebody, so I created the most viable scapegoat. But without any clear evidence, that violent notion faded along with the wounds in my heart.
あの少女は私に妻の死を予告し脅迫したのか、それとも妻の死を予言し救う道を示したのか。
Once again, just like the Oshiro-sama accidents as well, you know, Sadako's parents falling off the thing are these premeditated murders? Are they coincidental accidents? Or all these deaths leading to something? You know, Rika can see these deaths, or maybe she just overheard somebody saying to kill his wife. Really, there isn't a definitive answer I can come to.
そのどちらかなのだとしたら、私は後者ではないかと考えます。
Oshi smiled slightly in disbelief as he poured more beer from his bottle.
じゃあいいですよ。赤坂さんの言う通り、古出リカは未来がわかる預言者だとします。なら、なぜあの大災害が予知できなかったんです？
What disaster?
あんな恐ろしいガス災害が起こると知ってて、どうして黙っていたんです？
Okay. So we're in the chapter 3 timeline. Alright. Interesting.
ほんの数時間前でもいい。もし村に知らされていたら、ほとんどの人は死なずに済んだかもしれないじゃないですか。
Is that why she was murdered? Great Hinazawa Disaster Memorialist. Here we go again. It was near the end of June 1983. Volcanic gases from the Okafuchi swamp erupted and hit the village in the middle of the night. It was an unprecedented disaster where the whole populace was wiped out. It caused a wave of panic about volcanic gas across the country, causing people to overreact over any reports of odd smells. I hadn't heard of the barricade on the Himizawa area being lifted, so it should still be cordoned off.
それは
It was my turn to be lost for a response.
まあでも、お社様の生まれ変わりである古出リカが殺されたので、村がお社様の怒りに触れて、それで沼から正気が湧き出して村を死滅させたんじゃないかって。
Well, Rika did say she would die, so guess it was either chapter 2 or chapter 3.
そういう話が確かにひなみ沢系の生存した人間たちの間でまことしやかにささやかれてたのは事実ですね。
大石さん、失礼。今殺されたとおっしゃいましたか？
え？ああ、うん。まあ赤坂さんになら話しても問題ないか。
When I saw the news about the gas disaster, I remembered that girl. I then found her name in the list of victims. That's why at the time I thought her own death she had predicted was due to the gas. It was after that I learned from the tabloids of the series of mysterious deaths in Himizawa during the 5 years leading up to the disaster. It became known as the Curse of Oshiro-sama. And that string of mysterious deaths lined up exactly with what that girl had predicted, so I had always thought to ask Oshi about it, as he had been involved in the investigation. That's right. That was the reason for our reunion. But right now, Oshi had said, Rika Furude didn't die in the disaster, but was killed.
最後の年のたたりについて聞かせてもらってもいいですか？
私、退職したとはいえ、守秘義務がありますよ。
中井さん、すみません。お冷やでちょっとグレードの高い地酒はありませんか？種類はお任せします。
I'm gonna need a big drink for this one.
いやいや、そういうつもりで言ったんじゃないんだけどな。
Oshi laughed loudly, not wholly unsatisfied, and stopped the hostess to tell her that the cheap booze was fine.
私も週刊誌で報道されている通りのところまでは知っています。でも大災害の年のたたりは全く知りません。
Maybe this is the ultimate fate of Himizawa. Is that everyone dies in the gas eruption. Because this is the only chapter where we visited the same timeline, really. So maybe it is the ultimate fate for Himizawa. Everyone dies. Ain't that a happy ending, huh?
例の大災害のせいで、ひなみ沢地区全域が封鎖されちゃいましたからね。最後の年のたたりについては、ほとんど捜査ができてないんですよ。何年か後に封鎖が解けたとしても、村人のほとんどが死んでますし、数少ない生存者も親戚の元なんかに散って、所在がほとんどわからないですからね。完全に迷宮入りです。
Oshi seemed to posturate to himself as he stared at the ceiling, as if trying to work out a memory from the rusty cogs in his head. And then he said in a completely sober voice,
週刊誌なんかじゃ5年目のたたりが大災害だみたいな言い方をしてますけどね。本当の5年目のたたりはちゃんと綿流しの祭りの当日にあったんですよ。富武二郎っていう旅行写真家がいましてね。彼が犠牲に。
Oshi gestured about how the victim tore out his own throat with his fingernails as he talked.
で、その富武氏の恋仲の女性が山中で焼死体に。お隣の県警さんがあんまり協力的じゃなかったもんで、こっちはあまりよく状況を知らないんですがね。
一夜にして犠牲者が2人も。
実はね、2人どころじゃ済まないんですよ。
Wasn't just those two?
その翌日になんですがね。
Oh, wait, yeah.
私の後輩の熊谷君が捜査中に車両ごと蒸発しましてね。
Yes, that did happen. Kumagai was a younger detective that was going to be partnered with Oshi after we first met.
富武氏の事件捜査のために村に聞き込みなんかに回ってたんですよ。何かの事件に巻き込まれたのかもしれない。私と一緒だったなら無事だったかもしれないと思うと今でも悔しいですよ。あの日どういうわけか私お腹をひどく壊しましてね。外回りは遠慮しちゃってたんですよ。
事件の真相に近づきすぎて消された
と思ってます。熊ちゃんは善と有望な若者だったけどまだ現場経験が不足してた。トラブル慣れしてなかったんです。
Oshi lamented the fact that he wasn't with his subordinate that day.
で さらに翌日ですね。ああ、彼のことは赤坂さんもご存知ですよね。ほら、入江先生ですよ。
Suicide, yeah.
覚えてます？
ああ、あの病院の若い先生ですね。ぼんやりと覚えてます。
彼ですね。どういうわけか睡眠薬で自殺しまして、遺書の類はなし。司法解剖の結果でも睡眠薬によるものと断定されました。動機以外に不審な点はなし。
睡眠薬での死に見せかけるのはそんなに難しくないんじゃないですか。他殺の可能性は？
独身で離婚歴もなし。特定の女性と付き合っていたという話もなし。少年野球チームの監督を務め、村人との親交もあり、誰からも好かれる人物。敵が見当たりませんね。まあそれを調べるにも、もうあの大災害でめちゃくちゃになっちゃいましたからね。今となっては彼の身辺を調べようもありませんが。
それでフルでリカの死は？
その当日です。昼頃に神社に訪れた村の老人たちがフルでリカの死体を発見しました。
他殺？
ああ、話す前にそのイカそうめん食べちゃっといた方がいいですよ。
無体な死に方？
Oh, she nodded firmly.
死体は神社の境内、賽銭箱の脇でした。もっとも閉めたのは他の場所でしょうね。全裸で裸足。足の裏は汚れてませんでしたから。
愉快犯の犯行？
司法解剖の結果、そういった痕跡は認められませんでした。分かったのは、薬物で昏睡させられてからあの場所へ運ばれ、腹部を切開、意図的に臓器を引きずり出して四方に散らしてみせました。
昏睡？では回復は死後ではなく？
うん。
なんてむごい。
That girl's prediction was right on the mark. I'm pretty sure she was more detailed about the other deaths that led up to her own. For example, I think she said that the housewife that was beaten to death in the 4th year had her head split open. Then in that case, did she know that her death would be so terrible? There must have been some moments where she wanted to doubt the validity of her own predictions. But as people died exactly as prophesized, as the years passed, that prophecy would only come closer to fruition. And then facing the final year, unable to struggle against her own destiny, her all too young life was snuffed out. And in such a cool way. Knowing that her days were numbered and unable to fight the tide of events eldering her end, my heart ached at her helplessness.
この死に方ですが、どうも単なる猟奇趣味ってわけじゃないみたいなんです。と言いますのはですね、ひなみ沢はかつて鬼が住んでたって話は以前もしましたよね。
そんな話も聞きましたっけ？
ひなみ沢村のお祭りの綿流しってのはそもそも綿流し、つまり臓物流しから転じたものらしいんです。なんでも人食い鬼たちが犠牲者をばらして内臓を川に捨てたというところから転じたらしいんですよ。
つまりひなみ沢村においては内臓を引きずり出すことに 宗教的な意味があったと。
で、ひなみ沢村の昔話によるとですね、人食い鬼と人間が仲良く暮らすための調停者として親代様という神様が降臨しているってことになってるらしい。
確かフルでリカはその親代様の生まれ変わりだと言われてるんでしたね。
ねえ。ですからその荒人神であるフルデリカを回復して殺すのは村の信仰に対するこれ以上ない冒涜行為と言えるわけです。
信仰への冒涜。それはつまり親代様への冒涜ということですね。
あとは赤坂さんも知っての通りです。親代様のたたりが起こるのはその晩のことです。
ひなみ沢大災害。
The official explanation was that some swamp upstream erupted with toxic volcanic gas which enveloped the village.
発生した沼は鬼ヶ淵沼と言いまして、ひなみ沢村の旧名鬼ヶ淵村の名前の源となった沼です。村の言い伝えではこの沼の奥底は地獄につながってるそうで、かつて村にやってきた人食い鬼たちはこの沼から訪れたのだとか。
できすぎですね。
いやいやいや、まだまだできすぎてますよ。村には伝承がありまして、親代様がお怒りになられると地獄の釜が開いて正気があふれ出すなんて言うんですよ。
村人にとって地獄というのは沼の底のこと。つまりそこから正気があふれ出して村を襲うということ。
そう。つまりフルでリカ子と親代様の生まれ変わりが冒涜される殺され方をしたので、親代様がお怒りになってたたりとしてあの大災害を起こしたと、そういう話がまかり通っちゃってるんですよ。
つまりあの大災害は人為的なもの。
確かに話ができすぎてますからね。親代様のたたりが実在せず本当の偶発的事故でもないってんなら、そう疑いたくもなりますよね。
A wee smile formed on Oshi's face as he listened to my absurd take on things. He wore an expression as though even if it were absurd, there was a time he had thought the same thing as well.
村の信仰をめぐって狂信的な一派があったと仮定し、彼らが親代様のお怒りがあるような状況を作り出し、大災害を実行してみせた。
もちろん私は笑いませんよ。私も一度ならずともそう考えたことはあります。ですがひなみ沢村がいかに小さい村とはいえ、人口それを一夜にして抹殺するなんてどう考えても現実的じゃないです。
Yeah, that is the biggest thing about that. If it was man-made, someone, leaked the gases via a tank or whatever, why? Why do this? Why do all this? Do all these Osho-sama murders and then just kill everybody in the end? What would be the point of all that? What financial benefit would they get? What benefits would they get from just wiping out a country village out in the middle of nowhere, pretty much? What's the benefit of it if it's human? If it's truly human, what is the benefit of all of this? Why do all of this? If it's supernatural, it makes a lot more sense. If it was supernatural, that Rika was the reincarnation of Osho, and I guess the demons came out and killed her, and Osho let out her wrath on the village. So, it's something. The gas eruption was believed to have happened around 2 a.m., several hours before dawn. in that short amount of time going around and killing all the villagers in a way that made it look like poison gas didn't seem feasible at all.
ガスの発生した沼もまた宗教的な意味がありましたよね。だとしたら沼に何か仕掛けがあって神の裁きをいつでも再現できるような何かがあったとか。
自衛隊の発表では沼が発生源だということになってますよね。調査チームとかが詳しく調べた上での発表ですからね。
What if somehow, because in chapter 3, Kechi threw Sadako's uncle's motorcycle into the swamp along with Satoshi's bat. So, what if that's the thing that caused it? Why it happened a couple of days later, I don't know. But maybe somehow that's the thing that caused the volcanic eruption. It wasn't the work of people. It wasn't the work of Osho-sama. It was just pure coincidence. And speaking of Sadako's uncle's fucking death, we still don't know if that was real or not, you know? Even though I tend to believe that was real, that Kechi actually did murder Sadako's uncle, his body was gone. And once again, if all this was conducted by human people, why would they get rid of a body of a completely different murder they had no hand in, and pretty much give an alibi to Kechi by making another Kechi? It still doesn't make fucking sense. What would be the benefit? What would be the fucking motive behind all of this?
そんな仕掛けがあったら見つけてると思いますけどね。
沼そのものに仕掛けがあるとは限りませんよ。ほら、聞いたことありませんか？遠くの泉の水が枯れたら裏の泉も枯れたなんて昔話。
何ですかそりゃ。
水源ってのは地下水脈等でつながっていることが多いんです。沼や泉はそれが地上に露出した部分に過ぎません。
つまり赤坂さんが言いたいのは、鬼ヶ淵沼とつながった別の沼か泉があって、それに何らかの仕掛けをすると鬼ヶ淵沼の圧力とか水圧とかそういうものがいろいろ変わって毒ガスが噴出する仕掛けを大昔の村人がこさえていたと、そういう話ですよね。
Oshi laughed heartily, commending the fact that the youngins have a nice flexible way of thinking. That was the former detective in him. Even though it was a hypothesis that he didn't come up with, he still had the presence of mind not to dismiss it right away.
面白い話です。それが立証できたら日本の犯罪史始まって以来の空前規模の大量殺人ってことになりますよ。
ひなみ沢村の封鎖が解除されたらぜひ調べるべきだと思います。大石さんは県警にはまだ影響力は？
そこそこには。柔道部の名誉顧問ですからね。今でも夏の合宿やなんかにはちょくちょく出かけてます。
ひなみ沢村の封鎖解除がいつになるか分かりませんが、ぜひ調べさせてください。
わかりました。
大石さんはこのひなみ沢村連続開始事件、通称親代様のたたりをどう捉えていますか？
当時の署内は村人の圧力でぎゅうぎゅうでしてね。
It's so very interesting that this chapter wasn't planned originally, and that the reason why this was made in the first place was to make up for the fact that chapter 5 was taking way too long. Because I feel like this is a very fitting end to us. Our main protagonist is a detective from out of town that's going into this to Himizawa to pretty much find out what's going on. And right now we're like here with Oshi. I feel like we've kind of become like Oshi. We know all the information we have of Himizawa. We know the surface level stuff, I feel like. We know so much. We know the murders, we know what could happen, who the suspects are, but we don't have the answers to them. We simply have the questions, you know. We're the detective in this arc. While in the next arc, we'll once again be the detectives, but we'll finally get answers. It's very, very fitting, in my opinion, for the ending of the question arc.
連続事件は存在しないというのが当時の公式見解でした。事件は個々でまたそれぞれに解決していると。
バカな。村の信仰に基づいた連続事件であることは明白なのに。
赤坂さん、そりゃ5年も続いて派手な最後があった今だから言えることですよ。あの当時は偶然の事件が偶然にも綿流しの日に起こる。今年は起きないといいな、なんて感じだったんです。
偶然なものか。少女は初めから全て予言していた。
少女？
フルでリカです。あの子は私にその後の事件を全て予告してみせました。
赤坂さん、そりゃ本当ですか？
はい。あの子は言ったんです。翌年ダムの現場監督が殺され、死体をバラバラにされるとのみにとどまらず、その後に続く連続事件を全て私に予告してみせました。
赤坂さんがその話を聞いたのは昭和の何年の話ですか？
私が少女と出会ったのは誘拐事件調査の折ですから、昭和53年6月です。
バラバラ殺人の前年に？
Wrinkles formed between Oshi's eyebrows as he closed his eyes and began to digest what I just told him.
赤坂さん、フルで理科が神通力で未来が分かったなんて話がなしだとするなら、これはとんでもない話ですよ。
はい。
今さら私を驚かせるための作り話だなんて言ったら本気で怒りますよ。
私は真実を話しています。連続開始事件は発生の前年にはもうすべてシナリオが用意されていた。そしてその予告の通り、フルでリカは殺されました。私は初め大災害による死を指したものと思っていた。でも彼女の死は災害ではなく殺人者の手による残忍なものであることが分かりました。彼女は殺されると言った。彼女は自分の死を具体的にあの時点で知っていたんです。
ならフルでリカはどうして逃げ出さなかったんですかね。仮にそういった死のシナリオがすでに出来上がっていたとして、彼女はそれを知りかつ数年という猶予期間があったわけですよね。
Great question.
逃げ出すなり警察に相談するなりの時間はあったはずです。なぜ抗わずに自らの死を受け入れたんです？
わかりません。
フルでリカは村の年寄り連中に可愛がられてはいましたがね。両親を失った後は親類もゼロで身寄りはなく、親しい友人と肩を寄せ合うだけの孤独な生活でしたからね。戦う力も頼れる人間も身近にはいなかったのかもしれません。
彼女は自分の死に対して誰かに SOS を発しはしなかったんでしょうか。
村と警察が穏便な関係じゃなかったのは赤坂さんも知られるところだと思います。少なくとも私の耳にはフルでリカが自身の身柄の保護を求めてきたという情報はありません。あるいは自身が宗教的な生贄にされることに対し定感というか達観というか、そういうものがあったのかもしれませんね。
そんなはずはない。
I spoke decisively. At that time, she said it. She had definitely said that she wanted to live happily, that she wanted to spend her time surrounded by her dear friends. She hadn't given up on life. She had hoped to keep on living. At that moment, I became dumbstruck.
どうしました赤坂さん。
いえ。
I fell into silence. Oshi folded his arms and began murmuring in contemplation again. Eventually, he stood up and headed towards the hallway to find the hostess, yelling that he wanted a pen and paper. When Oshi, noisily, even though he was just thinking, left, the room immediately fell into a chilled silence. I stood up. It was then I realized I was drunk enough to be unsteady on my feet. When I slid open the window, a beautiful yet somehow ephemeral moon drifted across the night sky. It was just now that I realized she hadn't accepted her own death. She wanted to keep living, happily and joyously. She had said that quite clearly to me, but I was a fool. I hadn't been as expressively, so I hadn't realized it. She had made it clear as day that she didn't want to die. Wasn't that her cry for help? She didn't say as much as that she wanted help. But even given that, it wasn't as though she wasn't looking for her salvation. Without any family and unable to trust the police, she instead told somebody without any relation to the village. Somebody from a faraway place. Me. Help me. She had gone around and cut the phone cords. If I had made that phone call and learned of Yuki's death, I probably would have fallen into despair. If I was in that state, even if she was looking for help, her cries would have fallen on deaf ears. That's why, knowing everything, she had cut the phone cords. She wanted even a little time to seek help from me. Oshi, just before now, had lamented that one of the younger officers got mixed up in a case, having been erased because he wasn't there. I was feeling the same way. If only I was there in June of 1983, I could have protected her. In 1983, it would have been 5 years since the kidnapping took place. While raising the only daughter Yuki had left me, putting all my youth and passion to my work, honing my wits and courage wrestling with difficult cases. Nothing like my failings during the kidnapping incident would have occurred. I wouldn't have been slow to react in a one-on-one fight, and by that point I'd jump into foreign mafia run gambling parlors where I learned to deal with automatic weapons, let alone handguns. I had grown so much that in 1983, I couldn't have been even compared to how I was in 1978. That's why, if I was by her side, I should have been able to save her life. No matter what conspiracy or foul plots drew near, I definitely would have protected her. She, even though sounding resigned, should have still been able to ask me for help. I just didn't realize it. I couldn't realize it. Just as I wouldn't have realized if it was told of Yuki's accident, I wasn't able to realize it. I wanted the cry. If I had taken her words to heart, I would have prevented Yuki's accident. I would have been able to protect the girl to whom I owed a debt from even a predetermined death. She must have been expecting that from me. I learned about the disaster while watching television in my house. Till I learned about that, I had forgotten about Himizawa. In order to recover from the shock of Yuki's death, I had tried to remove everything about the place from my memory. What an ungrateful fool I was. Even though in exchange for saving her, the girl had told me of her way to save Yuki, I was unable to accept her gratitude, and now here we were. She hadn't died in her sleep due to an unnatural disaster. She was split open while still alive, killed while suffering the disgrace of having her organs torn out. She must have known beforehand that on the day in that year she would be killed in such a terrifying way. But even knowing what end awaited her, she was all too weak. A lone girl without anybody to rely upon, unable to seek help, and had to swallow her own predetermined death, and with this mortal coil. She said she wanted to live. She said she just wanted to live happily. That's all she wanted. She didn't ask for anything extravagant. For any person that was ever born, it was the very basis of desires. She never said a peep about wanting money or that she wished she was in somebody else's situation. She had said it, that if all deaths were preordained, then hers was probably also all according to plan. She might have been a lone, frail girl, but I don't think she would have accepted it all without at least putting up a fight. There must have been, in some small way, some form of resistance that she mustered. And with what she could muster, seeking my help was part of that. I howled. I stomped the floor. Why did I become a police officer in the first place? How could I call myself an officer if I couldn't save a single girl from the misfortune that was awaiting her? Was it because there was so much going on at that time I couldn't process the fact that she was asking for help? Yeah, that's right, I was still green. If I was in that situation now, I would have definitely been able to help her. But it was already all over. Even if I wanted to settle the regrets she left behind, Himizawa, as a dangerous area, was still quarantined. Most of the people involved were already dead, with a few that did remain spread around the country, unable to be traced. The stage of that tragedy was still off limits as well. The police investigation was put on hold, the case slowly being buried in the sands of time. Just like how I wouldn't have known unless Oshi had asked me about it.
Akasaka-san, 大丈夫ですか?
At some point, Oshi had returned with a notebook in hand. Till I saw the expression on Oshi's face, I didn't realize that I was in tears.
私は気づけなかった。少女の助けに気づけなかった。
赤坂さん、落ち着いてください。
でももう全部遅いんです。少女は殺された。こんなにも無残な殺され方で私は頼られたのに救えなかった。救えなかった。
村人と良好な関係を築かなかった私にも責任があるかもしれません。フルでリカが私にそれを打ち明けてくれたなら、私だって救いの手を差し伸べられたかもしれない。彼女が打ち明けに足る信頼を築けなかった。後悔しています。
When Oshi said the word trust, it rained on me even more. Yes, she had given me her trust. She trusted me, meaning that she thought that I would have been able to ward off the fate of her foreseen death. She believed in that. I cried. I fell to my hands and knees as I began to bawl. Eventually, Oshi spoke quietly.
赤坂さん、悔しいですか?
悔しいです。
ならば、フルでリカの仇を取るに値する方法が一つだけあります。
そんな方法があるんですか？
Oshi showed me the pen and notebook.
フルでリカの死を悼むためにも、せめて私たちで真相を。そうです。フルでリカだけじゃない。大勢が死にました。彼らの無念は計り知れません。でも彼らの死はあの大災害でうやむやにされ、今は捜査すらされることなく忘却の彼方に葬られようとしています。大勢死んだ。おやっさんも殺された。クマちゃんも消された。みんな犠牲にあった。なのに警察は捜査もできないでいる。誰に無念が晴らせるのか。私たちだけなんですよ。赤坂さん。
私たちに真相が。
ええ、明かせますよ。連続開始事件の全ての現場を踏み、村の裏事情に精通する私と、連続開始事件の前年にフルでリカから重要な真実を明かされたあなたとなら。
How the fuck was this chapter not planned? This is a perfect ending to the question arc. This is perfect.
でももう死んでしまったんですよ。
そうです。フルでリカは死にました。あなたが青2歳だったから救えなかった。
Oshi grabbed me, who was a wreck, and lifted me firmly by the lapels.
だからその償いとして真相を究明するんです。私たちで。あなたの話が事実なら全ての事件は計画ということになる。そうならば調べ方は全然変わってくるんですからね。私は今夜をかけてあなたと私の持つ全ての情報をノートにまとめ、明日の朝一番で元の部下たちと連絡を取るつもりです。あの事件を終わらせるものか。絶対に暴いてやるんです。
暴く。暴く。
ねえ、あれから数年が経過しましたが、時効ではない。捜査は中断であっても終了ではない。まだ続いているんです。続けさせるんです。私たちがです。
ええ、ええ、やりましょう、大石さん。このまま終わらせたりなんかしない。絶対私たちがこの真相を暴いてみせるんです。絶対に。
I demonstrated my resolve to Oshi by crying out those words. And just then,
パパ
the sliding door behind me opened, and Miyuki revealed herself while swiftly rubbing her eyes. My shouting must have awoken her, and she rushed over to me.
どうしたのパパ。パパ泣いてるの？
ああ、なんでもない。なんでもないよ、みゆき。
I tried hard to smile while wiping away my tears, and though Miyuki looked like she was about to cry herself, she extended her little hand to me.
大丈夫？また怖い夢を見たの？泣かないでパパ。
And when she makes that gesture towards me, I saw the figure of another girl overlapping with her. And her innocent gaze and innocent expression felt flushed and very nostalgic, filling me with painful torment. A girl who couldn't be here because I didn't reach out to her. She borrowed my daughter's body to offer me words of comfort.
赤坂、泣かないでくださいなのです。
It might be hallucination. Maybe a convenient illusion formed for my selfish dreams. However, that was her voice. I'm certain I heard it. Rather than blaming me for my mistake, she was compassionate.
ああ、泣くものか。泣くよりもまず私にはやるべきことがある。みゆき、パパはね、お前が生まれる前にひなみ沢ってところだ天使みたいな女の子に会った。
天使？本当に？
ああ、可愛くて優しくて、みゆきにも会わせてあげたかったな。
Alright, that's already an impossible wish. The future's already gone.
じゃあみゆき、その子とお友達になりたい。楽しみだな。今度みゆきも連れて行ってね。ひなみ沢に。
Even so, there's still something I can do.
ああ、そうだね。いつか一緒に会いに行こう。必ず。
Someday, I'm sure, we will see her again. That summer, the Higurashi cried in Himizawa. Oshi and I vowed to bring the truth of the case to light and stood up. Everything ended in 1985. I, at least wanting to apologize, had searched for her grave. After the state autopsy, her remains were entrusted to one of the shrine's followers. In the future, when the quarantine on the Himizawa area was lifted, they would be returned to her family grave. However, unsure who exactly took the remains of Rika Furude, until today I couldn't even apologize to her. In the future, when the quarantine on Himizawa was lifted, all I could do then was wait till whoever that person is returned to the grave. What I could do right now was not apologize to her. Instead, until I was able to meet her again, I would reveal the truth and dispel her regrets. Even now, sporadic eruptions of gas in the Himizawa area meant that the prospect of the quarantine being lifted wasn't happening anytime soon. Most likely, it seemed that she had no intention of meeting me again until I found the truth. That's why the quarantine wouldn't be lifted. Or so I thought. Until the day I grasped the truth. It was the following year. Oshi and I co-authored a book on the string of mysterious deaths leading up to the Great Himizawa disaster. I decided on the title, Higurashi When They Cry. That was because for those few days I was in Himizawa, the sound that I remembered the most was the cry of the Higurashi. I could only wish that based on this book, those people involved with that instant could refresh their memories and bring to light a new truth. And more importantly, that nothing like this ever happens again. I wrote this in the afterword.
この惨劇がどうして起こされたのか、私たちだけでは真相に至ることが叶いません。どうかこれを読んだあなた、真相を解き明かしてください。
Oh my god.
それだけが私たちの願いです。
Oh my god. Holy shit. This year, The quarantine on Himizawa still hasn't been lifted. Dude, I'm fucking pumped. I'm fucking pumped. Let's go find the fucking truth, dude. Let's go fucking find it, man. Let's go fucking find. Let's go. Let's fucking go. Oh my god. This wasn't planned. I can't fucking believe that. This chapter wasn't planned. That is such a perfect fucking, like, ending for this arc. That is so fucking perfect. And the Higurashi When They Cry, bro. That's insane. But, like, this is so fucking perfect, dude. Honestly, that whole thing really just, like, reinforced the fact of, like, I want to find the fucking truth. I want to know the meaning behind these deaths, huh? I want to find out. I want to prevent it. God damn it. I want to know why these people died. Why everyone in Himizawa died. What the hell the reason is. Who's behind it. And why. God damn, that made me fucking pump. Holy shit. That was so fucking sad. But yet so goddamn hype, dude. Like, holy shit. That's so fucking perfect. Alright, let's go check out the fucking, review session. Yeah, let's go. Oh, and the fucking afterword being the same words that Kechi fucking wrote at the end of chapter 1. Oh, it's so fucking, it's so fucking perfect, dude. It's so perfect. How was this not planned? I still can't believe that this wasn't planned. It was just like, oh, I guess I'll just, you know, put this in the meanwhile while I work on chapter 5. It's like, like, what the fuck, dude? Like, holy shit. That's insane. Oh my god.
この度は日暮の泣く頃に睡暇つぶしをプレイしてくださり誠にありがとうございます。
And we learned all this information by Higurashi When They Cry, the same book they fucking wrote in order to gain the fuck. I don't know, that some people might think that's a little bit on the nose. But in my opinion, I think that's fully fucking deserved. I feel like that's so goddamn perfect, in my opinion. That's just so perfect.
いやいや、なんだかんだと言いましても、今回のシナリオは私の独壇場でしたからね。しかも渋いジャズ調なテーマ曲まで追加。
Finally, someone mentions the nice jazzy music.
これで笑えなきゃどこで笑えって言うんですかね。なはははは。
というわけで、大石はそろそろ出過ぎなのですよ。
え？それはどういう意味ですか、リカ？
言葉通りの意味じゃーい。あれだけ出番があってここまで出張ろうとは身の程をわきまえないにも程がございましてよ。今回はメインヒロインはリカちゃん以外みんな出番ほとんどなかったからね。
今回は箸休め的なシナリオだからとは聞いてたけど、ここまでメイン勢がないがしろにされるとは思わなかったよ。
ミオンさんはまだいい方ではございませんの。多少は登場していましたよ。私とレナさんなんか気配も出てきませんですわ。レナはジャケットにも登場してますですから、まだマシなのですよ。ということはつまり何ですの？私だけが一人のけ者で出番なしということなんでございますの？ニパー私だけこの扱いはひどいですわ。かわいそうかわいそうですよ。きっとだんだん扱 いが悪くなって最後には脇役に転落しているに違いないのですよ。そんなのあんまりですわ。そんなことないよ。さとこちゃんのことが好きな人だって大勢いるんだもん。そんなひどい扱いになんかならないよね。こんな扱い嫌ですの。きっと次こそ出番がいっぱいあると思うな。元気出してこね。
しかし今回のシナリオはおまけ的なシナリオとは聞いてたけど、
Bonus story my ass.
実際どうよ。なんだか随分話がややこしくなったように思うんだけど。
僕には難しくてよくわかんないお話だったのですよ。何しろ信じられなかったのが、連続開始事件が起こる前の年にもうリカちゃんがそれを知っていたなんて。
ってことはつまり全ての事件は最初から予定されたシナリオってことになるんだよね。これはかなり大きい情報だよ。
僕がきっと巫女なので、お社様のお告げで未来が分かったに違いないのですよ。
人間犯人説の私としてはそれは真っ先に否定したいところだな。
レナはたたり派なんで、ひなみ沢を見守るお社様の生まれ変わりであるリカちゃんにそういう神通力もひょっとするとあったんじゃないかなって思うな。
ああ、ダメダメ。人間派はそういう得体の知れないファンタジーは一切認めないの。事件は全て人間の仕業。たたりも魔法もイカサマもズルも一切なし。
僕は魔法とか使えたら素敵だと思いますのですよ。
Just wait until you may Meko. We got witches in there.
リカちゃんならなんとなくそういうのが使えてもいいかなって思うな。は
まあ人間派にとっては最後の最後でとにかくこれはでかい情報だね。最初の事件からリカちゃんが殺され大災害に至るまでが全てシナリオ。つまり丸々一つの事件だったってことが分かるだけで推理材料は格段に増えるんだから。
レナはこの予言こそつまりリカちゃんが神通力を使える証拠。つまりひなみ沢村には不思議な力が存在するんだってことの証拠になると思ってる。人間だけに起こせる事件じゃないことの証明になるんじゃないかな。僕は頭がこんがらがってわかんないです。
そうだそうだ、それよりもさ、今回リカちゃんが見せたあの表情、なんだか怖かったな。
みーレナも驚いたな。可愛らしいリカちゃんがあんな笑い方をするとは思わなかったよ。
ねえ、ちょっとさもう一回あの顔をしてみせてよ。
嫌なこったなのですよ。レナも劇中以外ではしてほしくないな。何停電かな。全員動く ナでございましてよ。変な動きをしますとバルカン一斉射撃から誘導ミサイル連射、そしてとどめにレーザーサーベルめった切りをお見舞いしましてよ。
サトコ、これは何の真似？
出番なし軍団、これよりお疲れ様会を占領させていただきましてよ。
なんだか素敵な登場をありがとう。改めまして皆さん、こんにちは。
いやー、まさかこんなところで出番があるとはな。思わぬ出番が嬉しいよ。さとこちゃん、ありがとう。
皆さんこんにちは。あらあら、身動きなさらない方がいいと警告しましたよ。
Well, shit, what is that?
竜宮さん、大丈夫ですか？王女さん、ここまでやらなくても。
No, she's not. Yep, yep. She's literally in pieces. Yep. Yep. You dead.
出番がなかった恨みは恐ろしいんですのよ。本編の分までサトコが大活躍なのです。
出番なしの恨みってわけか。くそー、いつの間にこれだけのトラップを。
ここがお疲れ様会の会場に選ばれた。その時点ですでに私のトラップにかかっていたということになるんではありませんの？
そうか、わかった。あんたの後ろで糸を引いているやつがいるね。いるんでしょ？出てきなさい。ハロロン、マイシスター、ごきげんよう。
しーちゃんだ、こんにちは。
Oh, I love English.
同じ罠に2度もかかってかわいそうかわいそうです。
Okay, I think that's. Yeah, I think she's now really done.
やっぱりシオンか。何気に主役張ったシナリオまであるのにこの狼藉。あんたやってくれるじゃないの。回答編前の折り返しおまけシナリオとはいえ、お姉だけに出番を許すほど私も寛大じゃないってことです。まあそんなわけでちょっとサトコを焚きつけさせてもらいました。シオン、あんた何が望みなの？安全圏の確保とでも言いますか。昨今ですね、どういうわけかお姉がじりじりと票を伸ばしてるんですよね。
共通ルートのみーちゃん萌えって意見が開発陣の間でも結構多いんだよ。
恋路の悪いあんたのボロが出てプレイヤー処刑はやっと私の魅力に気づいてきたってことだね。サトコもたたり殺しで高評価らしいし、レナやリカちゃんには根強い固定票があるし、あんたの人気もとっくに陰ってるってことだね。そういうわけで不穏に票を伸ばすお姉やサトコをここいらで一つ叩き落としておこうと思いまして、こういう大仕掛けを打たせてもらったというわけです。
シオンさん、今何と言いまして？ 私も叩き落とすですって？
おちびちゃんは気づくのが遅いようで。そら！
にゃにゃにゃ
ー Well, we have those fighting game finishers just in the handbag, don't you, Shion?
さよならレギュラーの皆さん。こんにちは、イレギュラーの皆さん。あんたたちメインヒロインはこれでおしまいです。
シオンちゃん、そこまでやらなくてもいいんじゃないかな。
まあまあ二郎さん、面白いからほっときましょうよ。私たち二人の出番がいっぱい増えるのよ。二郎さんは私と一緒。いや、
Please don't kill me.
そんなことないよ。
先生までしーちゃんに買収されちゃったんですか？
ごめんね竜宮さん。
Curry was just too good.
シオンさんが次回のシナリオからは教えて千代先生のコーナーを作ってくれるっていうからつい。
さーてっと、誰から恥ずかしい処刑をしてあげましょうかね。大仕掛けを手伝ってくれたお礼に、さとこからかな。
それは許しませんよ。と
監督、なんだか珍しく頼もしく見えますわ。
さとこちゃんに対する狼藉は私入江京介が許すわけにはいきません。私も脇役一派ではありますが、懐柔できると思わないことですよ。
ありゃ、この後に収録予定の実録さとこメイド教育着せ替え編の主役は降板したいと。
シオン様、
God damn it, you're right.
この入りへ一生どこまでもついてまいります。
怪獣早っ。さーて、これで全て私の支柱ですね。これからはお疲れ様会もシナリオも全て私の思うままに進めさせてもらいますね。あれ、一人足りない。
シオン様、竜宮さんがいません。いつの間に抜け出したのか。
いた、竜宮さん。さっき身動きしてはいけませんって言ったはずですよ。
レナちゃん、悪いことは言わない。抵抗しない方が無難だよ。
レナ、悪いけどこんなやり方おかしいと思います。
それは何の真似？目明かし編の台本？なるほど、登場回数を削られる前に確保しておこうという魂胆ね。無駄な抵抗を。
レナさん、無駄な抵抗はよしておとなしくした方がいいと思います。私をあんまり怒らせるとあなただけでなくお姉たちの処遇も変わってくることになりますよ。台本を確保したくらいじゃ何もできないよ。レナ、ここは悔しいけど言う通りにした方が。
大丈夫、安心して。この目明かし編の台本が加わったことでレナたちはこの状況を逆転できるの。逆転？一体どんな秘策があるというんですの？
Gotta turn on its head. Quick, just write down and then Shion exploded.
レナさんは結構笑わせるのがうまいですね。なら試してみたらどうです？その逆転ってやつを試しに見せてください。
しーちゃんは甘えてる。本編にいくら出番がなかったからってこうしてお疲れ様会でこれだけの出番を得ているのに甘えてるよ。
私がいつ甘えたって言うんです？
しーちゃんは分かってない。たとえお疲れ様会だけといえども出演し他のシナリオにもあれだけ登場しておいてこの狼藉。そんなしーちゃんをね、許すことができない地獄の怨嗟がほら聞こえてこない？そうか、わかりましたわ。
そうか、ケイちゃんか。そうだよね、お疲れ様会はいつも出番なし。そのケイちゃんを差し置いてお疲れ様会占領なんてケイちゃんが許すはずがないなるほど。でその未だに収録居残り中のケイちゃんがどうやってここへ現れると？
And he doesn't even have a portrait.
まさかケイちゃんを私たちの誰かが追い抜いたわけでもあるまいに。
そう思うのがしーちゃんの慢心だよ。
いけない。あれは赤坂編の収録ワード数票。知恵先生、レナちゃんを取り押さえて。
もう遅いよ。いよいよ出番だよ、ケイチくん。
Oh boy.
その声はケイちゃん？まさかケイちゃんは収録居残り中のはず。
そうさ、今まではそうだった。収録居残りのたびに残りワード数で誰かを抜けばお疲れ様会に参加してもいいよと言われ続けて、それでも他のキャラと比べても2倍あるいは3倍以上もある分量をこなすなど不可能というか、最初から参加させる気ないだろ音響監督さんよと思って諦めてきたが、
Damn these word counts.
ついに俺は抜いたあるキャラを。シオン、これを見やがれ。
え？
そう、主役として登場パターンが増えたシオンは当然喋るワード数もこれまでの2倍。しかもミオンとキャストが同じだからさらに2倍。その結果俺はようやくついに居残り免除。そしてシオン、今度はお前が居残りだ。
私、次の目明かしでこんなに喋るんですか？ケイちゃんが約500でシオンは2700超え。
Damn.
これ普通のアドベンチャーゲームなら全キャラの総合係数だよ。
しかもこれにミーの数が加わるのです。その数やなんと、
うわー、聞きたくない聞きたくない
というわけでだ、レナ感謝するぜ。月にすら見放され真の闇が地上を覆いし時、漆黒の魔王前原慶一降臨。
I see. If it's like this, he can appear even if he doesn't have any character art. There's no character or background art, so it's real easy in the production stuff.
シオン、まるで自分が悲劇の主人公みたいな振る舞いだったが、俺から見れば実に滑稽千万。少しいい気になりすぎたみたいだな。お疲れ様会の旅に常に居残りになって異老の一杯にすらありつけなかった俺の怒りを、恨みを、悲しみを今こそ教えてくれるぜ。
なんだか圭一君、悪の化身みたいだな。
化身じゃない、魔王と言ってもらいたいぜ。そして俺が抑圧された悪夢の中で手に入れた闇の力はまさに無限大で無料体数。
This world which is involved with a shooter.
俺による俺のために作り出したこの闇の世界では俺に逆らうことは何人にもかなわぬのだ。
Jeez, you're right, Ketchy. If all this, no background at all, you can just say anything, it'll come true.
圭一君、なんだか怖いな。
怖い怖い日暮らしの時間はもう終わりだぜ。ここからはポップでキュートで萌え萌えな日暮らしが始まるのだ。
Oh shit.
なんですって。前原様、ぜひ私もお供に。
監督は分かってるじゃねえか。じゃあお医者な監督をしもべに迎えた第一弾として我が魔力を見せよう。
なんなのこれ。
What the fuck is happening, man?
高野さんがミニスカなナースさん、ナース服に。しかもピンクとかのギャルゲー的な色じゃない。分かってる。ちゃんと清楚な純白だ。
I can't keep drinking. I'm gonna spit on my drink eventually,
ナースさんの分際で本編で一度もナース服を着ないとは少子千万。さてと次の標的はと。
レナ、これじゃ全然形勢は逆転してないよ。
You merely just changed the management.
新しいピンチを迎えちゃってるよ。
こんな真っ暗じゃレナにもどうしようもないよ。
さて次は誰にどんな衣装を着せようかね。手堅く制服、体操服、すく水の三段コンボでも決めとくか。
前原様、最高っす。その後はバニーさんにコンパニオンに。いえいえ、レオタード姿もいいですね。いやいや、いっそみんなお色気全開にしちゃうってのはどう。もちろん靴下は残すのであります。
Ray knows his stuff. Let's leave the socks on.
それいい、分かってるじゃねえか。
That's exactly what I'm saying.
監督、俺やっとあんたと打ち解けられた気がするぜ。
いえいえ、前原さん。いえ、ケイ。私のことはこれからはイリーとドクターイリーとお呼びよ。ケイ、僕たちのことも忘れちゃ困るよ。
トミーとクラウドも常に K のそばにありますよ。
トミー、クラ
トミー、クラウド、ついに揃ったぜ。四天王、ここに見参だ。
ついに慶を筆頭に悪の四天王が揃い分暗黒を得てついに地上に降臨を果たした漆黒の魔王前原圭一。その魔力は絶大にして無比。この闇では誰にも立ち向かえない。屈するほかない。ああ、ヒロインたちはこの闇を抜け出せず魔王たちの思うがままに恥ずかしい衣装を次々と強要され
Man, this sure is a weird fanfiction I'm writing. Oh well.
永遠に等身大着せ替え人形の扱いをされてしまうのか。最高だぞ、もっとやれっていうか、すくみずはちゃんと旧タイプだろうな。競泳型だったら許さんぞ
だくシオン、あんたのせいでこうなったんだから、あんたなんとかしなさいよ。
大丈夫ですおね。暗闇の中で真の力を得るのはケイちゃんだけじゃないです。
え、そんな都合のいい味方ここにいましたっけ
Guys, we're running out of screen time, damn it. Hurry up and wrap it up.
チョコザイナ、その先シオン。ちなみに校長先生を期待してるなら残念だな。男子本会ここに極まれり。男たる者最善を尽くすべしとお墨付きがちゃんとあるのだ。もちろん新登場の赤坂さんに頼ろうとしても無駄だぜ。昨日からお嬢さんを親類に預けて夫婦水入らずで温泉旅行だそうだからな。つまり八方塞がりってわけさ。
甘いですねケイちゃん。安易に闇の世界を生み出して妄想全開すっちゃらか万歳ってやってしまうと、とある誰かも真の姿を表すことが可能になるのです。というわけで知恵先生、そういうわけです、前原くん。
真っ暗でよく見えませんけど、なんだか知恵先生の服装が変わってますわね。何ですの？あの両手にいっぱいの剣は。まさかそんな。それはいくらなんでも反則。
それ以上は内緒なのですよ、ミパー。前原くん、少しお板が過ぎたようです。これ以上は教会も見逃せません。
ちょっと待てよ。これはないだろ。映るだろ。作品違うじゃねえか。おい、こんなのなしだろ。そのでかいのはまずいって。早すぎる。あんたその動きは絶対人間やめてるだろ。や
Man, that fighting game combo is fucking sick. The second half of that was just literally me looking on a fucking black screen, and yet it's still entertaining. The line that got me the most was, "Weave the socks on."
改めましてこんにちは。この度は日暮らしの泣く頃に睡、暇つぶしをお楽しみくださり誠にありがとうございました。
You already know this, Higurashi When They Cry is a type of visual novel with founding choices. Therefore, compared to adventure-type visual novels with branching routes to take, it's much closer to the experience of a book or a movie. Because of that, there's the option out there that this should not be called a game per se. If you're just watching it like a book or movie, Higurashi When They Cry isn't really a game, true. That's why, as you know, there are a lot of mysteries referenced during the course of the experience. You challenge those, this work will become a proper game.
プレイヤーの皆さんにはこの謎に満ちた物語をさまざまな角度から捉え吟味する権利があります。
I mean, yeah, this ain't really a game, but by God, does it twist my brain in ways I never thought possible.
例えば劇中に散りばめられた謎について推理をし、それを発表して反響を得たりすることもまた楽しいかと思います。
True. In any case, the next chapter starts the Answers arc. We've tentatively called it Mikashi. Run outside like fucking dog shit. But answers are a sad thing. Based on what is revealed, all the possibilities that you were allowed to imagine until now will suddenly become refined down to a few. Based on that logic, we think that right here, before the Answers arc, is probably where people can enjoy this work we call Higurashi When They Cry the most. If by chance while you're reading this, you already have the Mekashi chapter at hand, please enjoy hypothesizing, theorizing, and fantasizing to the fullest before you start. That's where the real charm of the series takes place. Hahaha. Sorry for saying something so impudent. There's nothing better we'd like than for you to enjoy Higurashi When They Cry.
それでは素敵な夜長を。ひなみ沢村で皆さんをお待ちしていますね。レナと遊んでくれるなら一緒に宝探しに行きたいな。はう。
That's it. Oh my god, the end of the questions arc. Alright. Well, I'm not starting off the first chapter because it was 2 hours long. But I want, before we start the Answers arc, I want to put out my theories before we get to it. I mean, I was planning this already when I was, finishing this up. What are my final theories before we get to the answers? Well, I still think it is the work of somebody. Specifically the director, which, only been mentioned once. When a story only mentioned something once, it's fucking important. I mean, come on. That fucking director. I'm telling you, that fucker's behind it. Or coach, or whatever other, authoritative title it is. So here's my theory. The big theory, the overall theory that connects all these chapters together into one thing. The director is behind it all. And somehow Rika overheard it. And, she told that to Akasaka in order to, cry out for help. And, well, you didn't realize it. And only years later did he? Don't know the reason why. I can't come up with a reason why the director would be doing all this. I don't see any positive motive. It's not for money. It's not for power. It's for something else. What that something else is, I have no idea. The ultimate fate of Himizawa, if the director's plans, come to fruition, is the gas explosion at the end of everything when Rika dies. I think that's the ultimate fate of Himizawa if we don't find out the truth of it. Everyone becomes a victim. Everyone dies because of the director. My theory is, there is so much to consider thinking this. Yeah, the theory is just the director's behind it all. And it's nothing supernatural. I'm so confident of that. It's not supernatural. I will always be sticking by that. It is made by humans, and it's by the fucking director. Telling you, man. Telling you, he set all this up in order to achieve something. In order to, I don't know, achieve something. So, yeah. Just finished my drink. I think this is a fantastic time to end. Next time we come back, we will finally be heading into the Answers arc. So I can answer some of these damn questions that have been floating around in my head for a little 7 months, or 5. It's been a lot of fucking months. So anyway, if you guys enjoyed this type of content, hit that subscribe button. If you liked it, hit the like button. Want to tell me something, put it down in the comments below. Check out the Discord server I hang out in, or my Twitter. Check the description below. And yeah, this has been Voidlego. I'll see you guys next time. See ya!